Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Philadelphia fans, we're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
And it's a good Friday here on Good Morning NFC East. Jeff Kerr here with Tone DeShields II. Eagles don't play on Monday, so we won't talk about that much today. We got a couple NFC East games on the docket this week, a couple big ones, Tone, but I got to get this off my chest early and often as someone who has to
Here it comes.
I have to cover this stupid Thursday night football every single week, and every year I have a breaking point with Thursday night football. Well, guess what? Watching that crappy NFC South did it last night, Tone.
I can't even blame you, right? Because it's not even just about the NFC South. We know the NFC South is a terrible product in general, right? But you think about just Thursday night football in general, it's just not good football all around. I mean, occasionally you might have a shootout, but that's just because bad defense is being played. But overall, teams aren't really preparing for it. They're not even practicing for it. They're kind of just saying, hey, look, as a matter of fact, you know what's going on? Teams are actually preparing for two games they're preparing for two games at a time, right? So, for example, the Eagles, when they played on Thursday Night Football against the Texans, they basically were game planning for two teams, before they played the Steelers. They said they were basically, doing a double game plan. And again, they're not really there's no real adjustments. It's just not really a good product. Thursday Night Football is really made, if you ask me, for the running game.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, too. The schedule for TNF sucks. So
That's even worse. Yeah, you're right.
Falcons, Panthers. I hate the NFC South. This is why I get so mad at the Bucs, right? And I like the Bucs, like as a franchise. I like that organization, because I like Jason Light and a lot of those guys in there. And there's a lot of good players on that team.
Right.
Like just good people. What an easy way to win a freaking division. You got to play the Carolina Panthers twice a year. The Saints the Saints they're going back to being the Saints pre-Sean Payton. They suck. The Falcons are the second best team in that division. They look god-awful last night. I can't take it anymore. I can't.
But here's the thing. But Jeff, here's the thing, right? People, you can see the same thing for the NFC East of old, right? It was just a bad division, and the Cowboys were kind of just coasting. You can say the same thing about the AFC East back when Tom Brady was there. He was able to just get easy wins.
It was absolutely terrible watching everybody's like, "Oh, the Patriot way." I'm like, yeah, I guess the Patriot way is pretty easy when the Dolphins, Jets, and Bills perennially stink. Now they're better. They're way better. And look where the Patriots are at. They're 5-4. And yeah, but the NFC South seems to be the one where it's constantly bad. Like the Panthers had that little run with Cam Newton. The Saints had a good run with Sean Payton and Drew Brees. I mean, 15 years. I mean, you got to give them a pat on the back for that. But the Falcons, outside the Matt Ryan years, they've been bad. I mean, and look, I think Atlanta's outperformed expectations this year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I thought they'd run the ball down Carolina's throat last night, and they just couldn't do it. And on a Thursday night football game, it's almost like Arthur Smith just I don't know what to do with them. And I'll tell you what, I don't know how Marcus Mariota is a starting quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, Marcus went 19 for 30, 186
Yeah, the
yards,
empty
2
calories.
touchdowns, but it took them forever to really get going.
Empty calories.
And
Stinks.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Empty calories. He stinks.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely the calories. It all came when the game was pretty much decided. Uh, but as far as Atlanta's running game, ever since the Cordell Patterson injury, they haven't really been able to really get off, and he's kind of still nursing. You can tell he's not the same back right now. He needs an off season to get back to normal. And they're just splitting so many carries up between guys. Caleb Huntley with 5, Avery Williams with 4, Tyler Algier, Cordell Patterson with 5, Marcus Murray. Like one thing I do respect about the Atlanta Falcons, Arthur Smith is he's trying to put the ball in someone's hands. He's trying to get someone to make a play, like anybody. Will the real running back please stand up? He wants someone to take over this job, and it was Cordell Patterson's job, but again, the injury seems like it's still lagging him.
He's got guys too that can carry the football. Like that offensive line is really good run blocking, but you can see why they don't throw because their offensive line pass protection, they're terrible. And Mariota don't help with the decisions he makes. Is what the hell happened to Kyle Pitts?
You know what, man? If Kyle Pitts is in a different situation, I'm pretty sure he'd probably be a bit more productive. But you're right. I feel like he should be affecting the game significantly more. I'm not exactly sure what his stats are on the season, but in that game, 8 targets, 2 catches. That's unacceptable.
So I made a bet, Tone, last night. I only did one prop bet, and I only put like $2 on it. That Kyle Pitts would get under 3.5 receptions. I'm like, okay, with the weather, they don't target him anyway. It seems to be like the thing, like don't target Kyle Pitts this year. You only got 2 catches. It was 3.5. I'm like, oh man, this is gold. Like he had 1 catch for 10 yards going a fourth quarter. I'm like, there's no way they're going to get him the ball in garbage time. They never give him the ball in garbage time anyway. So it's a very frustrating thing. And if you're a Falcons fan, you got to be flipping out. This guy was the number 4 overall pick. You could have gotten a quarterback. You could have gotten the impact defensive player. You got an impact player in Kyle Pitts, and you just don't use him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really a fan of how Atlanta handles their drafts. They just get a bunch of skill position guys and don't really draft at positions that actually affect the game. But just moving the conversation forward, back to the NFC East. Have you been hearing, these Odell rumors surrounding the Cowboys? Because the way CD and all these guys are going out on a limb recruiting Odell, you would have thought a company-wide memorandum went out and said, "Hey, listen, everyone, go whatever you got to do.
Go get him, Tone.
Go get Odell. That's your job this week." It looks like everyone's reading ransom notes. Odell Beckham, please come to the Dallas Cowboys.
Why wouldn't we want Odell Beckham? He's the latest, right? Hey, I'll tell you what, Tone, I'm going to make my pitch to Odell Beckham. Odell, come on, Good Morning NFC East. We can't pay you a lot of money, but we can guarantee you a multi-year deal. I mean, how many people do you think would watch this show if we had Odell on every day?
That'd be hilarious. that would be funny. Oh my goodness! But all seriousness though, even though it's hard, right? Because they're the Dallas Cowboys. But what are your thoughts about just the Odell coming to the Dallas Cowboys? Will it work? Could it work financially? Will it actually tip things in their favor in the NFC East? What are your overall thoughts about this thing?
I don't know if it's going to happen or not, Tone. Like if he would come to the Cowboys, because I think there's too many other good teams that are suitors involved. Like Green Bay, I feel like he would be a good fit there. I don't know if you want to go there because the Packers might be losing 6 straight games for the first time since 1988. We'll see on Sunday. I'll touch on that in a bit. Buffalo, I think, is a very realistic possibility. I definitely think the 49ers are a possibility. There's probably other teams in there. From what I've gathered, at least 7 teams have contacted Odell Beckham, including the Giants, including the Cowboys. If he goes there, I don't think it makes him better than the Eagles in the NFC East. But I do think they strengthen their case to go to the Super Bowl if they get Odell Beckham. Because I think they're a good team right now. And I think they're good enough to be a Super Bowl contender right now. I think that just elevates them, but I still don't think they're better than the Eagles because the Eagles, they can run the ball down their throats. I don't think Cowboys fans understand, and some of the players, but definitely the fans, I don't think they understand how bad of a beating the Eagles put on them. Do not let the final score fool you. Do not let the fact that Cooper Rush was the quarterback. That does not matter. You had this all-world defense that no one could score 20 points off of, and the Eagles had that pretty much by the third quarter.
I think the reason for that, because if you watch that game, you can just see that the Cowboys defense couldn't really get the pulse, catch the pulse of the game. And I think it's because the way the Philadelphia Eagles are built. And they always say, when you're building your team, build your team to win your division first. And then you build it from that point forward. And when you think about what the Dallas Cowboys do well, we are the antithesis of what the Cowboys do. They want to get after the quarterback. They want to pin their ears back. They want to get downhill on defense. The way the Philadelphia Eagles play offense, they are a very patient, disciplined, execution-based RPO offense. So, and again, the Philadelphia Eagles have a way of beating teams in so many different ways. They're not one-dimensional. So the Cowboys have a lot to account for this Eagles team. And again, with the RPO, it forces the pass rush to hesitate ever so slightly. It forces guys that are used to just being one speed, it forces them to think twice, 3 times. Like we all saw the situation Michael Parsons was constantly put in when he played the Philadelphia Eagles last time. They didn't even block him. They just said, make a decision. And that's how they won that game. And I just think, just from a personnel standpoint, from a game planning standpoint, I just think the Dallas Cowboys don't match up well with the Philadelphia Eagles. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I think the Eagles were built to beat the Dallas Cowboys. If you want my honest opinion, I think the Eagles were built to be a football team like that, which is what's interesting about Sunday's game, Tone. Watching some old Packers games from this year and some of the Cowboys games, I'm not saying the Packers are going to beat them, but I think it's going to be a much closer game than people think. I think the Packers, if they commit to running the ball, if they kind of try to limit the deep ball, I know that's been hard for them, but I think they got to do that. And if they can execute in the red zone and on third down better, I think they got a shot to beat this team. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, the Dallas Cowboys don't really have the most prolific offense this season, and that's kind of uncharacteristic for them. I'm curious to know, what do you think is the disconnect for the Dallas Cowboys offense this season? I mean, I feel like I know the answer, but what do you think is the problem with the Dallas Cowboys offense?
21, Ezekiel Elliott. That's their disconnect. They're significantly better on the offensive side of the ball with Tony Pollard. Look, their offensive line has outperformed my low expectations this year. They are still a very good offensive line. Tyler Smith's been good for them. And look, they're going to get Tyron Smith back at some point. It probably won't be till December, but he's going to come back. So they're going to be even better because they're going to move Tyler Smith to left guard. And Connor McGovern's done really well there. Tyler, I can never pronounce his name. Baidaz, he's been good at center. Terrence Steele's been good at right tackle. They're a good offensive line. I'm much better than what I've been giving them credit for. And obviously, you have Zach Martin at right guard. But their disconnect is Ezekiel. Ezekiel Elliott needs to be the 2. Or he needs to be the guy that he gets like 10 to 15 carries a game, not with Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard needs to get 20 carries a game for this football team. They are lacking that receiver. So that's where the Odell stuff comes in. But overall, they're an explosive offense with Tony Pollard's in there. And you have to game plan for a guy like that.
Their offense is averaging 190 yards in the passing game. That's really down from what they've done.
You have to remember who's been quarterback most of that time.
That too. But also, I told people, and no one wanted to listen, they're going to miss Amari Cooper, but they couldn't afford him. They didn't want to pay him. Yeah. And if it was my decision, and probably thank God it's not, but if it was my decision, I'm sending Ezekiel Elliott away. I'm not sending Amari Cooper away. This is a passing NFL.
But who wants Ezekiel Elliott? Who wants that contract?
Jerry Jones.
Yeah. You can't get rid of him. Like,
That's Jerry's boy.
that's the problem. No one would, in their right minds, would take Ezekiel Elliott from them. Like, they're stuck with him for at least the next year. That contract is just bad. It never was going to age well. And yet, Cowboys fans, Cowboys media, Cowboys everybody love that deal back in 2019. I'm like, it's stupid. Absolutely stupid. Just let this guy walk. And they wouldn't do it because they felt their best chance of going to the Super Bowl with Ezekiel Elliott. And they'll say first 3 years. I'm like, you guys know he's declining every single year, right?
Yeah, he doesn't have the same pop. I mean, he's still Ezekiel Elliott is still a solid running back. I don't want to completely just say he's done because he's not. I've seen games where Ezekiel Elliott still, he has some strength, but he doesn't have the same explosiveness. I just don't think he can be your number one running back anymore. He has to be someone you rotate.
He's not Zeke. Like, the Zeke I know is the guy who won Ohio State national championship, the guy who tormented the NFL his first 2 years in the league. And to an extent, his third year, too, he was really good. Like, did they have to pay him? No. That's my honest opinion. They did not have to pay him because they know the shelf life of running backs. And Jerry Jones does this better than anybody. He just let DeMarco Murray walk after a contract year. He just said, I'm good. I don't need this. But he fell in love with Zeke, and he fell in love with—
I was just about to say, how Jerry gets. When he likes someone, he'll pay you. Even if your production doesn't match. Tony Romo, for example, he loved Tony Romo. Tony Romo wasn't taking that team to a Super Bowl ever.
That wasn't Tony Romo's fault. That they did not have
injuries and
they did not have a defense a lot of those years of Tony Romo. I'll tell you what, I think Tony Romo wishes he had prime Ezekiel Elliott, prime Dez Bryant. Well, he did have prime Dez Bryant, but a prime like this defense. If Tony Romo had this defense, I honestly feel the Cowboys would be the favorites in the NFC. That's how much better I thought he was as a quarterback than Dak Prescott.
Wow.
Tony Romo. Talk. This is funny. So Romo's last year, right before he went to CBS, there was talk about if he was healthy enough, should he play in the playoffs over Dak? And a lot of Cowboys fans were backing that.
Well, I mean, we saw how they treated Dak with the whole Cooper Rush thing. I feel like Dak Prescott I feel like he's always been trying to prove himself in Dallas, even after getting the money.
Do you feel like Dak did take Romo's job, right? But Tony was healthy at the end of the year. Do you feel like they should have given that job back to Tony? Or do you think they should have just rolled with that? Because Dak didn't win that playoff game.
I just feel like it was time to move on. Tony just kept getting hurt, and
Tony was ready to leave too.
Yeah, and also fandom aside, I personally believe Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback. Is he elite? No, but top 10 doesn't. But like, if anything, like give or take 11, 10, 9, like it's like any given Sunday, right? But I think Dak is a good quarterback. He's not elite. And again, there's not many elite guys. There's probably maybe 4, maybe 5 elite guys in this NFL. And, so like there are more good quarterbacks than elite quarterbacks in this NFL. You know what I mean? So everyone can't have that elite guy. And I just feel like Dak, and again, fandom aside, Dak hasn't really gotten a fair shake in Dallas. Now he's been given a plethora of weapons to get it done. I'll give you that. He's always had weapons. But I just feel like he's always been trying to prove himself in that organization.
It's funny, right? Going into the year, we thought maybe a Jalen Hurts was Dak Prescott. A lot of people would take that. Now it seems he's elevated Dak Prescott. Like, I think we're seeing a guy who can be a top 5 quarterback in this league if he's not already. I mean, this year he is. But can you do it year after year after year? And I think we're starting to see, hey, you know what? I think he can. Because he's being with his arms, being with his leg. This is what I don't like about Dak anymore. Dak does not run like he used to. And he still can run the football. I just don't think he wants to because of the ankle injury.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking about as well. It's you kind of strip him away of his superpower, right? And there was a point in his career where he was definitely much more elusive. I kind of remember vividly that that playoff game against the Seahawks where it was like a game-winning drive, and I think they were in the red zone, and no one was open. He just took it upon himself and just ran to the goal line. And he got smacked, but it was a gutsy play. It was a really
2019. That was 2019.
It was a really gutsy play, man. When I saw that, I was like, hey, I like that guy.
2018. Sorry, not 2019.
If he wasn't a Dallas Cowboy, I would love Dak Prescott. But you know how that goes, man.
So my dad has a fun nickname for Dak. He's always had fun nicknames for. He calls Dak Dink and Dunk Dak because he feels like remember the Jason Garrett offense? He was more making fun of Garrett than Dak. But he goes, hey, Dink and Dunk Dak. All he does is throw 5-yard passes. What's so impressive about that? And then you start watching, you're like, oh my God, that's all he does. He throws 5-yard passes. Like Romo would go downfield, take these shots downfield, and Dak, it's like, okay, we're gonna run this vanilla Jason Garrett offense. I can't believe NBC Sports actually lets us listen to Jason Garrett.
He's funny, man.
He is like I do like I think Jason Garrett is he's a solid color commentator. I mean, I'm not a Notre Dame fan in the very slight, but I watched Clemson Notre Dame on Saturday night, and he's not bad. Like I watch USFL games, I'm like, okay, I can see Jason Garrett having a future in this.
Hey man, I feel you on that. So our guy Anthony
Armstrong
hasn't gotten here yet. Make sure I got my guy's name right.
Yeah, Anthony Armstrong. He's
Anthony Armstrong.
He's usually in by now.
Exactly, yeah.
Here for him.
Yeah, so this is what we're going to do, Jeff. Our guy Anthony Armstrong hasn't gotten here yet, so this is what we're going to do. We are going to take a break, and then coming out of that break, if he's not here, I want to touch on this Giants-Texans game with you because I think the Texans could, I'm not saying they will, but they could give the Giants a little bit of a scare. So let's take a break, you guys. You guys are locked in on Good Morning NFC East. He's Jeff Kerr. I'm your guy, Tone DeShields II. Keep it locked.
It's a fall car fest, and Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, says, yes, you can. Jeff says, yes, you can choose from over 1,000 vehicles in stock with no wait. Yes, you can still get low prices, leases, and big discounts. Yes, you can still get low interest financing. And Jeff always says, yes, you can have a real deal buying experience without the hassle. When the other dealers say, no, you can't, Jeff says, yes, you can. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown. Nobody treats you better. Jeep Adventure Days.
At Pond Lehocky, we've recovered billions of dollars for our clients, and we're confident we can do the same for you. With over 250 years of combined courtroom experience, we've helped over 100,000 injured clients obtain some of the largest settlements in Pennsylvania. One conversation is all it takes to help you and your family get back on track. If you've been injured in an accident, give Pond Lehocky a call.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits, go for the scene, go for the screens, go for the gallery, go for the win, go to Ocean.
Go passionately, go fearlessly, go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust.
Go Birds!
And go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
At Salus University, our graduates are among the most highly trained in their profession because of our unique emphasis on research, interprofessional collaboration, and early clinical exposure. Learn more about our programs at salis.edu.
Okay, I see Anthony Armstrong isn't here yet. Again, really weird for him. If not, I will get him on Tuesday if he can't make it today for, whatever reason. I'll get him on Tuesday after the Eagles play Washington. He'll come on. His schedule probably got mixed up today, but that's all right, Tone. Paul had an interesting comment in the chat room, and I wanted to bring this up here because I forgot about this too. What did you think of the Panthers uniforms last night? Because I love them.
No, I like it too. I like any uniforms that are black. Really, anything black with a splash of color. I love it.
I'll tell you what. So I haven't seen the full concept of the Eagles black helmet, all black uni yet. That's how I'm picturing that, because that's going to debut in 2 weeks on Sunday Night Football against Green Bay, and I'll tell you what, Carolina knocked it out of the park with theirs. Like I thought it was perfect. No silver, just go all black helmet, the whole black uniform, night game. I was all for that, Tone. I know that it's only a one-off. They're just doing it this year. They'll bring it back next year, obviously. But
yeah, listen, they'll bring it back if them jersey sales are insane.
Well, yeah, and their black jerseys are awesome. Like Carolina, they have a uniform set. I feel like that's going to withstand the test of time. I mean, and in reality, it kind of has, right? It's the same uniform they've had since their first year. They mixed it up a bit. They added a light blue alternate over the years. The light blue pants work. Like, really, that combination just seems to work for them.
Oh, no, yeah, for sure. I've always loved the Carolina Panthers uniforms. Growing up as a kid, my favorite uniforms were the Carolina Panthers. The Steve McNair Tennessee Titans. I love those uniforms.
I have one of those.
Man, I absolutely just love those things. The jersey with the sword on the shoulder, man. It was just really cool. Who else? I've always liked the Bengals, like the early 2000s Bengals. I've always liked those. I love the Ravens as well.
Oh, the Ravens is awesome.
That black and purple, and it's always been spectacular.
When they go all black too, that's a nice because they already have black helmets. But yeah, you're right. The only time I hated the Ravens uniforms, remember when they got the gold pants?
Yeah, that was a weird time.
Yeah, I am like before we jump out of uniform conversation here, since you're a big Sixers fan, I'm a big Sixers fan. What did you think of the City Edition jerseys now that they're officially out?
I think people kill them for they're okay. They're not that bad.
Yeah, they're fine, right? I can see myself wearing one. Let's put
they're cool. They're, in my opinion, they're not overly complicated. I can see myself, rocking that, you know what I mean, on a nice summer day, with some shorts, like I like it. I like it. White with the red, squiggly or cursive letters, I guess you'll say.
Yeah,
it's cool.
You know what? They're like, remember when the gray Rocky ones came out?
Wow. Yeah.
Like, I have a couple of them. I like them because they're different. Like it's something that I didn't, when I saw the initial concept back in March, I'm like,
I know.
I don't know. I'd have to see more. And when stuff started leaking, like the actual design, like, okay, I can get behind this a bit.
Yeah, like last year's City Edition, like the navy blue with like
they were perfect.
I love those. I love those. I know a lot of people hated these, but I even like the Boathouse Row.
I actually like them too.
I like those too. I had one of those, but I don't wear it because it's the jersey of someone who shall not be named.
Yeah. I have the same one, Tone, and let me tell you, it just sits in the back of the closet. It's with my other one of the man who should not be named. I have two. I think that's what upsets me. All the money and time I invested in that man, and he's not good at basketball.
Definitely, man. Definitely. But surprise, 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 our guy Anthony Armstrong is in the virtual green room, you guys.
Right.
So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a very, very, very short break. This break is going to last about 1 minute and 25 seconds. This is one of our shorter spots. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. We're going to bring up our guy, Anthony Armstrong, and then Jeff Kerr, you guys are going to take it away. How does that sound?
Works for me.
Hey, let's get it, you guys. Anthony Armstrong is coming up next, and he gives you guys all the insight you need on the Washington Commanders. This should be fascinating, you guys. Keep it locked.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Philadelphia fans, we're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
In the house here on this Friday. It's Eagles Commanders week. I gotta have you on, Anthony, and from the Believe podcast network. I do recommend tuning in and listening to him give his Commanders takes because you had a few spicy ones after last week's game.
Man, I tell you, well, first of all, thanks for having me back, man. I apologize for being a little tardy.
Oh, you're fine.
But hey, we're here. We're here. It's Friday morning. It's Monday Night Football coming up, man. I'm glad to be back. Last time I was here, Philly whooped our ass, man.
to put it modestly, yes.
We're not trying to do that again. You know what I mean? We're not trying to do that again. But I think it's going to be a solid matchup for these two teams.
Yeah, you know what? I actually think it's going to be a better matchup this time around, and I think a lot of that has to do with Taylor Heineke getting rid of the football a little faster than Carson Wentz. I don't know what the deal was that first game, but I feel like Washington's offense, as badly as they looked at the end of the game on Sunday, they've been moving with more fluidity. Don't you think?
Absolutely, yes. Ever since they've welcomed Brian Robinson to the offense and brought him in there and started to work him in, the balance has returned to this offense. You know, when you look back at that Week 3 matchup, there was about 43 passes for Carson Wentz compared to about 20 some odd runs, and that is not a ratio of pass to run that you want to have going against Philly. And I think that recently Scott Turner's balance and play calling, play choices have brought those numbers to a more even level, and that's the type of attack you need to have going against Philly. And I think that, you know, Taylor Heineke can execute that game plan and see if they can get the ball into the end zone.
What do you think happened in Sunday's loss? Because I felt personally, I was like, oh man, they're going to be 5-4. Like they're going to be right back in this race, and then all of a sudden, boom! Like the Vikings just woke up.
Man, you know, honestly, that was something where Washington kind of woke them up and gave them an opportunity. They had that game in hand. And, you know, the interception that Heineke threw, people was like, oh, there he goes, throwing a bonehead pick. Honestly, that wasn't a bonehead interception. It was just kind of a couple of, you know, bad things happening. I mean, you had pressure right up in front. Ball sails a little bit. If you're being picky as a receiver, I say, well, hey, Logan, come on out of that break. You might be able to make that catch. And, you know, I think Taylor passed up a short pass. You know, he's trying to go for a little bit deeper route there. So it was just one of those unfortunate situations. Harrison Smith makes a good play, but at the end of the game where they ended up rushing over the center, that was a playoff effort. That was Ridgeway trying to make a play for his team and ended up, you know, commits a personal foul. I'm sure you can't do that, but I'll take a penalty over effort rather than a penalty over lapse of judgment anytime. So I think this team is trending in the right direction, even though they did drop that game.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? That penalty just ultimately sucked because I would like to see them get the ball back with about I think it was like 2 minutes and like 12 seconds left at that point, and you know, Vikings just got to run down the clock to 16 seconds, and I'm starting. I'm like, man, they're not even going to get a chance. And they tried the whole you've seen NFL primetime, and Chris Berman makes fun of the last play of the game, whoop,
Yeah.
whoop, whoop. And I'm like, well, that's it.
Yeah, once you realize and you did the math, I'm sitting at home, you're like, okay, that's 30 something and 30 something. Like, there ain't gonna be enough time left. And it's so frustrating to sit there and look for the last, minute and a half or 2 minutes, whatever it is, and you see the clock ticking down. So I mean, it's a good game by Minnesota, but the past 4 games, Washington's been playing well, and I think they're gonna be all right coming into Philly.
Yeah, a month ago, we're worried about, is Ron Rivera going to be the coach after this year? I still think it's going to be 50-50, but he's definitely improved his chances over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's definitely been a consistent, presence and somebody that's kind of steady the ship through just such a crazy storm that's just been going on. I mean, there's always news with this organization, and I think that, frankly, he's been the perfect person to guide you through that. Obviously, everybody wants to get wins on the field, and that's going to come. That's going to show up. But the off the field stuff is something that no other coach in the NFL has to deal with, and frankly, I think that's why people kind of shy away from going to that organization right now, because there's just so much to deal with off the field. You can't even focus on playing football.
I was kind of laughing at the whole major announcement thing. I remember I got the PR yesterday. I'm like, major? I'm like, what is Snyder finally going to sell the team? Because I feel like that's all I've been writing about the last couple of weeks with them. It's overall, though, what do you feel about Dan Snyder? It does look like he's going to sell at some point.
I mean, at this point, it's just one of those common denominator things. You look back over the past however long, 22, 23 years he's on the team, and there's been some success here and there, but for the most part, there hasn't been any. And then you look at the most recent history. I mean, obviously the workplace, toxic workplace investigations, and now financial improprieties, and then you got Congress involved, and everybody is just pointing at you to say, hey, man, we're not going to work with you until you're gone. We're not going to work with this team until you're out. And it is for the better of it's better for the league. It's better for him. It's better for everybody that loves burgundy and gold. It's good for everybody to part ways at this point. And it's time. It's time to go ahead and let that go. I mean, you even have a player on the team that's saying there's been a dark cloud over the organization. That's Benjamin St. Juice that was saying that, speaking up and letting that out. But it's just one of those things where it is time. It's time. I try to stay away from, ownership changes, because that is well above my pay grade. And it's just like yelling into a megaphone, I'm yelling into traffic, I should say. So if it happens, a lot of people are going to be very, very relieved, and it'll be a happy day. Now that after that, you got to get back to winning football games.
Do you want them to go back to DC proper, or are you okay if they build a new, I guess a new FedEx Field? I guess is what they're thinking of doing.
Man, I wanted to go to DC. I want these guys to go. I wanted to play in RFK. I never really had that opportunity to do so, but that was definitely something that I wanted to get the opportunity to do. But I think DC Commanders sounds so much better than Washington Commanders, and not trying to be rude, but I think DC Commanders sounds really good. If they could get back to DC, that'd be amazing.
See, yeah, that's the thing for me too, Anthony. So I'm looking at it as, and look, they got an XFL team coming back, right? The DC Defenders. I'm going to go to one of their games next year because I'm curious to see how football is at Audi Field, in the Navy Yard, in DC, and I think I'm gonna tie it to the Commanders. Like, okay, like this needs to happen. I agree with you. I think they need to go back into the city. I'm not a FedEx Field fan at all. And I think the one thing I hate about most is getting in and getting out. I don't know how you experienced it as a player.
Well, I mean, it was definitely, it's a long drive from the facility. I mean, you got to drive about an hour to get out there. And it is so far. I don't have a problem with FedEx. I mean, shoot, PG County. I love PG County. My wife's from PG County. But in relation to the stadium, I mean, I think now you think that now you have the Ravens, so like half of Baltimore, north part of Maryland takes that team, and then most people that seem to be Washington fans, a lot of them are in Virginia. So you're pulling from both directions. If you try to put that new stadium down there in like Dumfries or wherever they're talking about, that's like an hour the other direction. So I feel like you're not going to get anybody to go to the game that are coming from the north side of town. So it's a tough thing. I think if they can find a way to get back into DC, make right with the mayor and the rest of the city council people, that'll be the best. I would definitely try to get back and go to a game. I mean, I'm gonna try to get back to the game, period, but definitely would love for them to be playing in DC.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, right? I'm glad you mentioned Dumfries because I was thinking the same thing. Like, well, I don't think that solves the problem. It's like you said, they need to be if they want to go outside the DC like area, you go to Arlington or Alexandria or something like that. You're not going to Dumfries. Like, as someone who's driven the Myrtle Beach plenty of times, like Dumfries, really? Like, you know how hard it is to get there. It's sometimes I feel like the Snyder and them that they're just out of touch.
Man, it's one of those things that definitely it's more money that's involved than I would even know what to do with. Just to imagine, like you have to find some land, but then you have people, the council members that aren't really trying to work with you. So where you could probably get much better locations if it was a different ownership group, or if you had a different relationship with the city, then more than likely they'd get the opportunity to put a team in a better location. So I think they'll eventually work their way into getting to a more favorable location. Ideally, something closer into DC, closer to the city, especially if Ted Lerner becomes an owner. I know his name was floated around, the owner of the Nationals. So I'm sure he'd want to keep the team somewhere close to where his baseball team is at.
Yeah. And can you imagine, though, if they played in the Navy Yard? Or I assume the Navy Yard still has some room. I mean, it feels like they've been building constantly there over the last 15 years. But what do you think overall, if they would move to DC, what would that do for not just the franchise, not just fan engagement, but they're already a rich franchise already. Like, how do you think that changes the long-term effects of them as a competitive football team?
Man, I tell you, getting back to DC, we'll get back to some of those old glory days that I would hear so much about. I mean, you hear about RFK Stadium, how it'll be rocking and literally moving as they're playing against the Cowboys and yelling, "We want Dallas." And I think that the energy would be just so high if they got to play games down there in DC. Now, the fact is, are you going to be able to find enough space for it in the city? I don't know. And I apologize. My kid just woke up. He's very demanding. This guy wakes up and is like, "I want milk." I'm like, "Come on, man. You got to chill out."
Hey, you know what? I don't blame him. I want my OJ. So I'm with you on that, Anthony. But overall, I'll give you a second. Yeah,
Sorry.
No, you're good, man. Hey, I'm the same way. When I want my orange juice, I want it.
I feel it.
Breaks to get orange juice before, so I'm with you on that. I'll blame your kid one bit. But overall, though, when you look at this Commanders team, the second half of the year, their schedule, in my opinion, is absolutely brutal. So when they got that Minnesota, Philadelphia back to back, I'm like, okay, they have to find a way to split here.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't beat the Eagles, do you consider their playoff chances dead?
Yeah, shoot. It's almost like you would say that, but I think things are just playing so close that there may be some off the wall opportunity that they can get in there. I've been preaching that I'm a fan of wins. I'd rather you win a ball game and then end up with a 16 or 15 or 12 pick or something like that, rather than just try to tank and be as high in the draft as possible. That hadn't worked for the past 20 years. Forget about it. Let's just put wins on the board. The four games: Minnesota, Philly, Houston, and then I think New York. Those are the four games I felt that they had to at least go 2-2 and find a way they could steal a game from Philly or Minnesota. And I was thinking it was going to be that Minnesota game. So now they've dropped that one, and then they're going up against a tough Philly team. So I think the best case scenario for next three games, it would be to go 2-1, drop the one against Philly, overall be 2-2. So if you stay in that 2-2 range, you give yourself a chance. If they find a way to go 1-3 over these, counting Minnesota, and then the next three games, then I think they might be a little bit too far outside looking in.
Yeah, Washington too. They haven't played the Giants. I think they got them twice, if I'm not mistaken.
They play them, take a bye, and then play them again.
That's right. They're the ones that have that kooky bye week sandwich. Don't you feel like those two games, especially, can determine? Did I lose you?
Well, yeah, simply because those teams have not played each other, and I think that the frustrating thing for both of those organizations is that they've kind of watched each other from a distance, and you're like, wow, New York's off to this hot start. Now they're kind of starting to, falter a little bit, have a couple injuries here and there. And then Washington just went on a recent little bit of a run. So the team that started the year for Washington, this isn't the same team. This is a different team. And then, I think New York, people are kind of catching up to what they're doing. I mean, obviously they have a lot of injuries and they're still trying to, get some bodies to play receivers. So whenever they match up, it's definitely going to be key. If Washington can find a way to knock out both of those games, that'd be huge. But playing a team when you sandwich a bye week, the good part for Washington is that they have the bye and they get to have familiarity on both sides of it. But for New York, they have to play a different opponent in between when they come back and then play Washington.
Have you offered your services yet to play for the Giants? Because it feels like they got a new receiver every week.
Man, every time I see a receiver get hurt, I kind of look at my phone and just see, is somebody going to send me a text, hey, can you still run? I think about it. I'm like, you know what? I could probably play about 15 to 17 snaps in the right situation and probably avoid pulling a hamstring. So I stay ready, Jeff. I stay ready just in case somebody needs a little bit of help out there at their receiver position.
I was joking with Deshaun the other week. I'm just like, hey, man, you can still beat everybody. There's no doubt about that. But how are the glutes going to feel when you're done? He goes,
yeah, that's the tough part, man. That's the tough part. I mean, the amount of work that they do to get ready to play, it's difficult to just jump back in and just have the most impact.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? Because you're running at full speed. Yeah, everybody's like, they jog. I'm like, no, they definitely do not jog. That is a strategy ploy. I'm like, you guys, I don't know how you guys could play so fast all the time and just. I know you guys get injured, but I just don't know how you do it every single snap.
Man, you got to train that way. I mean, you think about it, the average play is like three seconds or so. So you're sprinting, and as a receiver, I got to run maybe 30, 40 yards and turn around and jog back to the huddle and do it again. So it gets down into the science. We're talking about the anaerobic, system, the way the energy is translated into the body. And you train that, man. You train that. You really work in the off season, the lifting weights and the running and the conditioning to build up the ability to work hard and sprint at full speed. Your aerobic system helps you recover so you can do it again over and over again. I've taken my strength and conditioning certification, so I've learned this whole system.
Don't you wish, though, you had like the Theragun products and all that after I talked to Devonta Smith this week, and we were talking about that. He actually gave me a Theragun. Theragun company did, and I'm like, wow, this thing is it's a game changer, right? Every time you're sore, it feels like your injuries go away. Don't you wish you had that, though, after a game? Man,
I tell you, I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm not the only one that feels this way, but I personally feel like I'm always in between a couple of technologies, right? Like I got into, you did dial up DSL and, cable. Same thing with the Theragun. Uh-oh. There we go.
You're good.
Same thing. Oh Lord. I got an angry kid.
I gotta let you go to him too, because we're trying to get on the break. So anyway, if you want to finish up here, are you good?
No, you're good. I think there we go. So basically, Theraguns are great. I mean, it's awesome to have that stuff and help your body recover and to get you back on the field. I didn't know about that stuff when I played. I was just out there just banged up and hurting. But nowadays, players are Theragunning at 5 years old. So definitely get yourself a Theragun or some sort of foam roll. You got to take care of your body, folks.
Yeah. All right, Andy. Let's get. I might have to have you on next week too, but I got to get a quick prediction here for you. What do you got Monday night?
Man, I tell you, I want Washington to win. It's an 11-point game. They're 11-point dogs. I think that they can cover that, but it's going to really come down to if they're able to keep Philly out of the end zone. I think ultimately Philly probably gets this one, but it's a closer game than people expect. Give me 27-24 Philly.
Think Jalen Hurts is going to be the difference?
He always is. I mean, he's a good player. The difference, like I said before, though, is this is the same Philly team as they've been all year, and they just keep finding ways to win. Eventually, it's going to catch up to them. It's a whole new Washington team. If that defense can keep Philly out of the end zone and then find a way to get into the end zone, they'll give themselves a chance to win. I think it comes down to the last minute and a half. Taylor Heineke will have the ball.
All right, yeah, I'll let you go, man. I'll tell you what. As someone, I don't have kids, but I know I have a lot of good friends that have them, and when they call, you got to answer, man. So once again, I appreciate you coming on, my friend.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much, guys.
All right, sounds great. I'll talk to you soon. All right, and we got to hit a quick break here with Tone Shields. He just messaged me right now, so we'll go a quick break here, and then we'll wrap up the show right after this.
It's a fall car fest, and Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, says, yes, you can. Jeff says, yes, you can choose from over 1,000 vehicles in stock with no wait. Yes, you can still get low prices, leases, and big discounts. Yes, you can still get low interest financing. And Jeff always says, yes, you can have a real deal buying experience without the hassle. When the other dealers say, no, you can't, Jeff says, yes, you can. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown. Nobody treats you better. Jeep Adventure Days.
At Pond Lehocky, we've recovered billions of dollars for our clients, and we're confident we can do the same for you. With over 250 years of combined courtroom experience, we've helped over 100,000 injured clients obtain some of the largest settlements in Pennsylvania. One conversation is all it takes to help you and your family get back on track. If you've been injured in an accident, give Pond Lehocky a call.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits, go for the scene, go for the screens, go for the gallery, go for the win, go to Ocean.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
At Salus University, our graduates are among the most highly trained in their profession because of our unique emphasis on research, interprofessional collaboration, and early clinical exposure. Learn more about our programs at salus.edu.
Hey guys, we're going to wrap up the show here quick, and I also got to thank all the veterans who have served today. As someone who's had grandpa served in World War II, got the Bronze Star, American hero. Same my uncle. My uncle was in Vietnam, so again, like to thank all the veterans that have served and are serving this country right now. I salute you guys. You guys give me the opportunity to do what I love to do, and I appreciate that every single day. So thank you, veterans. Happy Veterans Day, everybody. But before we wrap this show up, I wanted to give a couple picks here. So again, I said earlier in the show, I think Green Bay has a chance to beat Dallas. I really do. I'm not saying they're going to, but if you watch the tape, if they commit to actually giving the ball to Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, and if their offensive line can get a bit healthier, and again, they got a lot of questionable guys going into the day. I'll be doing the injury report for CBS Sports later today. I think they got a shot. But again, Dallas, they find ways to I just don't like the whole let's give Zeke Elliott 20 carries a game, which is going to happen again Sunday because they're just not going to bench him for Tony Pollard. They're not going to do that. So, yeah, I think Dallas wins, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. I think Green Bay could cover though. So, again, not a gambling expert here, but kind of lean toward Green Bay on that. Washington, Philly, I got the Eagles. I know we can predict this on Monday, but I think the Eagles are going to win too. I think it's going to be probably a 10-point game, if I'm going to be honest. I mean, the Eagles haven't trailed in the second half all year. They have not trailed in the second half all year. They're in territory with the 1920 Akron Pros and the 1920 DeCarter Staleys when it comes to trailing in the second half. So, yeah, give me the Eagles in that. Giants. Man, the Giants. I always forget who they're playing. I know they're playing. But you know why I forget they're playing? Because they're playing one of the worst teams in football, the Houston Texans. Yeah, give me the Giants. Giants are going to win this week. Other NFL games. Seahawks Buccaneers is the game I actually got for CBS on Sunday. I'm going to lean Seahawks. I really like the way Geno Smith's playing. I like the way that team has been clicking on all cylinders right now. The whole Russell Wilson beef. As a guy who likes Russell Wilson, I mean, Russell Wilson he's a good dude. I gotta say it. He is a good dude. But something just did not work out well there in Seattle, especially toward the end. And it is kind of funny hearing Pete Carroll make the subtle jabs at him and say with Tyler Lockett. And he's struggling in Denver right now. So you give me Seahawks for that. Another game, obviously, we're going to be paying attention to here is Vikings Bills. And will he or won't he? Will Josh Allen play? And as someone who's got to interview Josh Allen next week, I kind of want to know myself. The word I'm hearing, it's day to day. I think if the Bills are smart, they'll rest Josh Allen. The long-term goal, you want to win the Super Bowl, obviously, right? But the long-term goal for the Buffalo Bills organization is having Josh Allen be the face of your franchise for the next 10 to 15 years. And you do not want a UCL injury hurting that. And if the Bills are as good as we think they are, they can get by with Case Keenum. I don't care if the Vikings are 7-1 or not. They should be able to move the ball effectively with Case Keenum at quarterback. That's why they brought Case Keenum in there. That's why Case Keenum is their number 2. He's not terrible. He's not one of the worst backups in the league. He's probably top 10 to top 12, if we're being honest, with backup quarterbacks. Like, Case Keenum could get the job done for them this week if they need him to. I think they should do that. I think they should play Case Keenum, give Josh Allen a week because they're going to have 2 games in 5 days coming up. Bills play on Thanksgiving. They play the Lions. So I would give Josh Allen the week. I know Josh Allen wants to play. If it was Josh Allen's call, he would play. He would play. But I think the Bills got to be smart here with this. Kansas City plays Jacksonville. Give me Kansas City on that. Dolphins play Cleveland. I'll go Dolphins there. Saints Steelers, man, that's a bad game. I'm not picking that. I'm staying away from that. Titans Broncos, Tennessee. Give me Tennessee. I think Tennessee bounce back. Cardinals Rams. Oh, Cardinals are a mess. They are an absolute mess. That's a 425 game. I think the Rams survive there. Chargers 49ers is a very intriguing game. One I'm staying away from. I'll stay away from it. But the Chargers are really outperforming all those injuries they have. I know the Falcons aren't a good team, but they did beat them on the road. It's going to be a tough game for them. I'll stay away from that one. I think I can go your way, honestly, because Justin Herbert just hasn't been the same since the rib injury. It's a shame, and he's lost a lot of his receivers, and Keenan Allen might not be back this week again. Like, Williams is out. He just have injuries across the board. Just give the ball to Austin Eckler and control time of possession, and we'll see what happens. I mean, the 49ers should win that game, but, I mean, Chargers have been playing out of their minds. And a lot of people like to criticize Brandon Staley, but he's doing a pretty good job there. Okay, guys, so Monday, we'll recap all the other NFC East games. We'll preview Eagles Commanders. I will be at the stadium Monday night, so you'll see a corpse of me on Tuesday morning. I'll pretty much be there late at night, and then turn around Tuesday morning. I'll be pretty tired. But, hey, that's the business, and I love it. So, once again, my name is Jeff Kerr. You can find my work on CBSSports.com. We got First 365, Joe McDonald and John McMullen coming up next. This is Good Morning NFC East. Have a good day, guys.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits.